Wireless internet is known by different names: Wi-Fi, wireless fidelity, and wireless LAN, wireless local area network, or WLAN. Wi-Fi stands for wireless fidelity. Regardless of what you call it, it is a wireless networking technology that gives devices like desktop computers, laptops, mobile phones, smart TVs, game consoles, and other compatible wireless devices internet access. This allows for social media, real-time streaming, and access to the limitless information that makes this era such a convenient time to be alive. But did you know that Wi-Fi was an accident? An Australian scientist, John O'Sullivan, wanted to prove one of Stephen Hawking's black hole theory is correct. He and his team were developing a tool that could identify and filter specific radio waves. Unfortunately, the tool they created didn't help in finding black hole radio waves. Fast forward a few years, John O'Sullivan was working for the XERO, Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization. His project was to find a way for computers to communicate wirelessly. He went back to his failed invention, modified and tweaked it. And here we are. Thanks to John O'Sullivan and his team, Wi-Fi was invented. And as technology advances more and more, new and innovative ways of global communication are rising. And in a short period of time, we will be receiving Wi-Fi from outside Earth. And that is not a joke. Before we start, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell to receive our latest notifications. What is Starlink? Technically speaking, it's a satellite internet system. The Starlink internet service by SpaceX, a company founded by Elon Musk, might soon complete its setup. The internet service is expected to provide internet to different parts of the globe, especially for people in remote areas. The internet service will be introduced in many countries and is expected to start operation in the next few years. Enter Starlink. The satellite internet system from SpaceX is capable of delivering 150 megabytes per second internet speed to theoretically any place on the planet. All the customer needs is a clear view of the sky. Product developments began in 2015. 2 prototype test flight satellites were launched in February 2018. Additional test satellites and 60 operational satellites were deployed in May 2019. As of September 2020, SpaceX was launching up to 60 satellites at a time, aiming to deploy 1,584 of the 260 kg spacecraft to provide near global service by late 2021 or 2022. SpaceX started a private beta service in the northern United States in August 2020 and a public beta in October 2020. Service beginning at high latitudes between 44 degrees and 52 north. The cost of the decade-long project to design, build, and deploy the constellation was estimated by SpaceX in May 2018 to be at least $10 billion. Keeping in mind that SpaceX is the only company on the planet with a landable reusable rocket capable of delivering payload after payload into orbit. That's a mighty advantage in the commercial space race. Starlink satellite internet will be far from the gigabyte fiber speeds people on Earth are used to. And that's due to the long distance each transmission needs to travel on its round trip from your home to the stratosphere. It's a factor that also jacks up latency, which is why you'll often notice awkward lulls in the conversation if you are talking to someone over a satellite connection. With that being said, Starlink is determined to improve upon existing expectation for satellite connections by placing satellites into orbit at lower altitudes than before. To be precise, 60 times closer to the Earth's surface than traditional satellites, per the company's claims. This low Earth orbit approach means that there is less distance for those Starlink signals to travel, and thus less latency. If you are wondering, latency is the time it takes for your internet signal to travel from your computer to your ISP, Internet Service Provider, to the website server, and then back to you. A Reddit member asked a Starlink representative whether Starlink internet users would see slower speeds once more users sign up. The representative said the service will not get overcrowded, and said that the network will get increasingly great, not increasingly worse, as more satellites are launched. On October 15, 2019, the United States Federal Communication Commission, FCC, submitted filings to the International Telecommunication Union, ITU, on SpaceX's behalf to arrange spectrum for 3,000 additional Starlink satellites to supplement the 12,000 Starlink satellites already approved by the FCC. With over 800 satellites in orbit currently, Starlink hopes to create a mega constellation of 42,000 satellites. Images of the Starlink satellites constellation look like a fishing net, where thousands of dots are the satellites that rotate in synchronized orbit so that all areas of the globe have satellite coverage. The Starlink satellite network covers the whole globe, although initially, certain parts of the constellation will be more fully built out. Satellites will eventually communicate with each another via lasers, which reduces lag time and enables a speedier connection with less latency. In 2020, the International Space Station had to adjust its orbit multiple times to avoid potential collision, a task that takes some coordinated effort. As the number of Starlink and other satellites in orbit increases, so does the likelihood that some type of space traffic incident could occur. And in the same year, at the beginning of September, the European Space Agency had to perform an avoidance maneuver of Aeolus, one of its Earth observation satellites, in order to prevent a collision with one of the 60 satellites of Starlink constellation. SpaceX is not the only company with big plans for space-based internet service. OneWeb, Telestar, and Amazon all have their own constellations planned. A Starlink spacecraft and the OneWeb satellite zoomed uncomfortably close to each other on March 30, 2021. The two companies were able to coordinate, with OneWeb moving its satellites out of the way. As the number of satellites in space increases rapidly, such cooperations will likely be the key to avoiding collisions. SpaceX has long stressed that its Starlink satellites are equipped with autonomous collision avoidance features that help the craft change position in orbit. By signing this new agreement, NASA is hopeful that if such a close pass should occur, only the Starlink spacecraft will have to move. The agreement also requires SpaceX to notify NASA at least a week before each Starlink launch, so the agency can determine if the mission poses any collision avoidance issues. To go one step further, SpaceX has agreed to launch its satellites into initial orbits that do not come within 3 miles of the ISS or other NASA spacecraft. Users' upfront costs ranged from $550 to as much as $800, varying based on taxes, shipping costs, and additional equipment needed, such as roof mounts or third-party items for installation. The service is priced at $99 a month in the US, under the beta, with a $499 upfront cost for the equipment customers need to connect to the satellite, plus taxes and shipping. Users say the equipment usually takes around 5 minutes to set up. No technician is needed, but you'll need to make sure the Starlink dish has a clear view of the sky in order to receive the high-speed internet, so it could take longer to set up if you need to place the dish on your home's roof. The service is primarily aimed at the niche market of users living in isolated regions, which therefore does not threaten traditional telecommunication companies, according to Elon Musk, who hopes to eventually gain 3 to 5% of the global internet market, a share valued at $30 billion per year. Elon Musk, SpaceX's founder and CEO, also views the Starlink program as a means to earn revenue to help fund the company's goal to develop a next-generation reusable rocket known as Starship, which Musk says could eventually carry people to the Moon and Mars. On top of that, Musk said in 2018 that Starlink will help provide SpaceX with revenue needed to fund the company's long-held ambition to establish a base on Mars. If that day arrives, it's also likely that SpaceX will try to establish a satellite constellation on the Red Planet too. So, do you think that this project will come handy and really provide a worldwide internet service? Or do you think that it's a waste of money that will make it hard to enjoy the night stars? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. This sums it up and brings us to the end of today's episode. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel and hit that bell button so you don't miss our latest updates and info. See you in the next episode.